And we're live. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Wheel Talk, the podcast with a guy in a wheelchair and a girl in a wheelchair. How are you going, Brittney?
I am good. I'm so tired though. I never sleep in, and it's always evening for Fred and morning for me. And I slept until 9:30 today, which is like so unheard of. And so I've just been like rushing around trying to finish my bowel routine and get ready. And I'm good though. I successfully, got here. So that's good. But I don't know. I'm so tired. Like I don't know if it's the sun or what, or just wheeling like so many like kilometers a day everywhere that we were. It was just maybe a lot of that, but I'm so tired.
Yeah, I can imagine. So you've been on holiday in Disneyland. So tell me
Yeah.
about that.
Well, we went to California, so we did a bunch of things. Disneyland was just one of them. I cried when I went to Disneyland for the first time because I was always like, it's overrated. It's so dumb. It's going to be so busy. But it really is like the most magical place on earth. Like it's so cool to see all of the things that you see in the movies, and it was just very cool. So I loved the sort of the visual like aspect of Disney, and all the staff are really great. I get their cast members, I guess are cast members. They're all awesome. And then being able to get on a ride for the first time ever since I've been paralyzed all by myself. Like I literally cried. I was like tearing up going on this stupid little ride. It was like a Peter Pan. Did I cut out
Uh,
to you?
yeah, you cut out a little bit. Go on. You
Oh,
said
that's
you
weird.
felt like Peter Pan.
I just felt like I was seen, and I was seen like as a person with a disability, because it wasn't like a big tremendous like difficult things that they did to make it wheelchair accessible. It was just simple things like changing the way the door opened to get into the ride so that it was easily accessible if you wanted to transfer. So that was awesome. Disneyland was really great. There was a lot of bigger rides that obviously I couldn't go on or didn't feel comfortable going on because the seats were not padded. And especially when we went to Universal Studios, which is like another theme park,
Yeah.
uh, not
You
owned
said
by
you were
Disney.
going to take a cushion for your bum. Did you end up
Yeah,
taking
I
one?
never I never ended up doing that because I was like, oh, I'm just gonna transfer with my cushion. But a lot of the rides they won't let you alter the seat. So I couldn't put a cushion on it anyway. And the one bigger ride that I did go on, it did have a little padded seat, but the seat was really shallow. And so my legs were kind of flopping around when I was on the roller coaster, and they didn't like that. Like my legs were
Mm.
so spazzy for like
Mm.
20 minutes after because they'd just been jostled around like crazy. So I highly recommend, yeah, having some sort of a cushion that's not your own cushion because
Like
it
a
takes.
pillow. Do you remember I said take a pillow?
I did remember that. It was just because you're not allowed to like have backpacks on the rides or anything like that, so you can't have a backpack with you all the time. So it was just a little bit of a odd thing. Like you have to be able to carry the thing with you and not have a backpack because you can't put a backpack down like in the line or when you go on a ride. So you can have a crossbody purse or a fanny pack, which is what I had, and you can keep that with you on the ride. So it has to be able to fit small enough into something like that. So
So
yeah, well, like
with the benefit of hindsight, what sort of cushion would be suitable for someone to take to get on rides like that?
I do think that somebody suggested like a neck pillow for like an airplane, and I do think that that would be good because you could just clip it to your crossbody bag. As long as it had like a clip thing. Most airplane pillows do, like neck pillows. So I do think that that might be a good solution. It is a little bit slippery though, because you want to be able to be like sturdy on the seat. So I was thinking like those gel things. Like I did a video from Blake Medical that has like these
Mhm.
gel things that you can cut. And I was thinking like if you could just cut like a small piece that went like tailbone to your IT bones, like your sit bones, that might work because then you could just like fold it up and stick it in your crossbody bag. I don't know. It's one of those things that I think like you have to go more than once to figure out the solutions. And I probably should have asked like on a forum or something, but I'm so bad. I didn't even look. This is how dumb I am. I didn't even Google what the rides were before I went to Disneyland because I was just like, I don't want to have any expectations. But then I didn't know how big the rides were or what the rides, entailed. So then I didn't know which ones would be appropriate for me to go on. So I ended up Googling a lot of the rides afterwards just to see which ones I could go on. And then we tried to go to Disneyland a second day, but apparently Disneyland sells out. So we
Oh,
couldn't
no
go.
way.
We couldn't go the second day. I was like, what? Disneyland sells out. So we weren't allowed to get tickets. And it was like annoying because I had Googled all the rides and I knew which ones I wanted to go on. And then we couldn't go. So we went one
Oh,
day. It was awesome. I went on, I think, 4 rides. And a lot of the rides aren't even like roller coasters. They're just virtual things. And you go up in a seat, the seat moves around, but they feel so real. Like it's VR. I
yeah,
got
yeah.
so sick in those ones though. Like I don't know if anybody else gets sick when they are doing VR stuff, but I do get sick. So I had to close my eyes a lot so that I didn't throw up. Whereas I didn't get sick on the actual roller coaster. Like my stomach did loop-de-loops, but I didn't actually feel like I was going to puke. Whereas in the virtual ones where like you look like you're like falling from the sky and crashing to your death, like those ones I got so sick on. But
Yeah.
overall, a super great experience at Disneyland. We went to Universal Studios. They wouldn't let me alter the seat almost ever. I went on one ride that they let me put my cushion on, but because of that, I couldn't go on most of the rides. So I would get all the way up to the front of the line, and then they were
Oh,
like,
no
"No,
way.
yeah, you can't put your cushion on." So they were really strict about that. And so I don't even know whether they would let you put any kind of cushion on at Universal Studios apart from a few of the simpler rides. So one of the things that I am going to get is women, I don't know about men, but women can get underwear that has like butt padding to make your butt look bigger. So I'm going to
Yeah,
buy
nice.
some of those underwear if I ever go back to Universal Studios so that I'm not altering the seat with a cushion. It's just in
Yeah.
my underwear. So, or I might like
Mm,
get somebody to sew an actual like pair of underwear that has the cushions in the places that I need.
why not?
So yeah. So that's what I'm gonna do for rides next time I go. But there's so much cool stuff. Universal
So
Studios. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say you can get those padded like bum seats that you strap on like a little harness. Have you seen
Yes,
those? Would that be
I
suitable or would that be
I
too
actually
bulky?
I actually have one, but they are very weird to sit on. I did get one for this exact reason because I was like, oh, I'm gonna go on rides eventually, but it's such an awkward cushion because you can't really sit on your own cushion. With that cushion on, you're strapped to your butt. Otherwise, you're extremely high, and it's weird. And
Would
you
it
can't
be suitable just for the rides maybe?
maybe because it is strapped to your butt. And I did see a girl. That's the reason I got it was I saw a video of a girl going to Disneyland and using that. I just don't it's hard to put on and off. Like you actually have to sit on it, put it on,
Mm.
strap it on, and kind of keep it on. Because it's not quick to put on at all. So I didn't take that. I do have one. But yeah, I just don't think it's like super realistic. I think the underwear with the built-in padding would be much more usable because you
Yeah.
could just sit anywhere with that.
I think there's a gap in the market for that, you know?
Yeah. Oh, somebody was just saying like I would hang on I'll put I have a diaper on. That could work too. Maybe if you just
Yeah,
wore like
yeah.
a really padded diaper. But yeah, so those were the kinds of like obstacles that I ran into. But very cool. Universal Studios was cool in terms of like the visual displays. The coolest thing ever. Like you go into Simpsons area and it's like literally the Simpsons. Like it's so cool. So I
Nice.
thought that was really neat. The going into like the Mario Brothers world, like you're literally in a video game. Like they have moving mushrooms and all kinds of stuff. So that was very cool. Disneyland was much better in terms of like they didn't have as cool of visual things. But the experience was almost better at Disneyland just because they make it more inclusive, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Nice. So what would you have done differently in hindsight?
I get those padded underwear so that I could go on more rides. I would get a strap that I could strap my legs together when I'm on the ride so they weren't flopping around. Because that was just uncomfortable. And then my legs were really spazzy after, which was annoying. I would Google every ride and have a first because people take videos in the ride, so you can see what the ride is actually like, so you can know whether you can handle it or not, especially with your balance. So do that, just prepare more. I didn't know to prepare like that. I just thought that I would go and I could see the rides for what they are, but a lot of the rides are inside things. You can't see the ride, which is not normal for me, right? Normally you can see a roller coaster and how it turns and stuff, but they're not like that at Disneyland. They're inside like these big things. So, yeah.
I find it odd that you didn't research more, seeing as your YouTube channel is about helping paraplegics, do things like travel tips. Look at all these travel tips. And yet I know that there's a lady called Jem Hubbard who does Wheels No Heels. And she
great.
does loads of videos about Disney, which I thought would have been really handy to watch beforehand. But did you not watch any of those?
I didn't watch any videos. I am seriously the worst. In hindsight, know everything. And I don't plan ahead. Like I said to Joe, I'm like, I need to make a shot list because I did get some video, obviously B-roll, and I'm going to make a video about Disneyland, but I didn't get any pictures of any videos of me actually getting in the rides and stuff, partially because we were with a large group, like we were with 14 people, and it was just difficult to be like, hey guys, I'm filming right now, when, the boxing coach that we were with, Jacob's Boxing Club, he had an agenda. So we were basically going with him, and I didn't want to be like, oh, I got to film. So it was just a little bit awkward for me to do. So I tried to get as much video as I could in, with the circumstances, but I needed a shot list for sure. I was going to do a whole video on my rental vehicle. And then I got home and I was like, I didn't even take any video of the rental vehicle that I got. It was so annoying. It was just busy because I was with Jamie by myself for the first little bit. And so it was a lot of bags for a little person to carry and me trying to navigate that. But there was so much I could have filmed. Like when I got to the rental car place, the car I got didn't have hand controls. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do now? And I didn't film any of that. And then they fixed it and it was fine. And I could have shown the type of hand controls I got, the type of vehicle. So I might do a video just talking about it because I actually enjoyed this rental car company more than the ones I have in the past used. But yeah, I'm just disorganized. It's part of me and my personality where I have to do things 14 times to be like, oh, this is how you plan and everything. But I literally don't ever, and this is bad, don't follow my example, but when I travel, I do not call the hotel to make sure it's wheelchair accessible. None of that stuff. I showed up at this hotel and realized it was a motel, not a hotel, which is stairs up. And I was like, oh no, I hope that my room is on the main floor. So I literally parked in the parking lot, called, and I was like, I booked this hotel. I didn't get a wheelchair accessible room because I never do. I did do a video about that. I just show up and hope it works. And 99% of the time it does. So I'm like the worst.
I guess it worked out that time though.
It worked. Yeah. They were like, oh yeah, no, we'll put you on the main floor. No problem. It's easy to wheel into the doors and stuff. So I was like, oh great. But I didn't check. So yeah, don't follow my example ever.
Well, on that note, I did not follow your example. I messaged the hotel. Well, the hotel message. Sorry, I've booked a hotel in Madrid because I'm going on holiday there on the 5th of May, and they messaged me to say, "Oh, you need to upload a photo ID, or you need to bring a credit card." And I was like, "What? I don't have a credit card." So I asked ChatGPT and said it's not a legal requirement to have a credit card. So I was like, okay, no worries. But I also messaged them to say, I need a wheelchair accessible room. And when you book on booking.com, I put wheelchair accessible, right?
Yeah.
But I always message them to say, by the way, just so you know, I'm after a wheelchair accessible room, just because I don't trust, the tick box on booking.com. And they messaged back saying, oh, well, you had never booked a wheelchair accessible room. So you're just going to have to see on the day if there's one available. And I messaged back what? I was like, that's totally unacceptable. I was like, it's not a preference. It's a necessity. I need a wheelchair accessible room. You can't just say, oh, we'll see what's available when you get there. Look at the date. It's April. I'm booking for the 5th of May. I've given you adequate notice. give me a wheelchair accessible room or my money back, and I'll book somewhere that does have a wheelchair accessible room. So yeah, I thought that was a very, very odd response, which I was pretty disappointed about. But they haven't actually replied to me, so fingers crossed they do have a wheelchair accessible room.
That's odd. Maybe it's like maybe that's just Spain, because my friend from Spain says it's terrible there in terms of like accessibility. Not that not nowhere is accessible. She just says that she experiences kind of the same thing when she goes home. So I don't know if it's just a lack of education or something, but
I think it'll be fine.
that is odd. I've never ever had that, but I do feel like I don't know. I've never been to Europe, so I shouldn't say. But most non-accessible rooms here, even if a lot of the time I can't shut the door with my wheelchair in it, even in this like hotel that I had, I have to get on the toilet, push my wheelchair out, and then shut the door, or I just poop with the door open because I don't care. But as long as I can get on the toilet, it's fine. And that you should be fine too. Like you're really strong. It's not like you have, very narrow abilities. So I think it'll be fine.
Yeah. So the other thing that happened was we booked an Airbnb for Alicante because we're going to drive down. So just sorry, I'm assuming that everyone knows.
Yeah.
Chris has gone to Spain in her van and taken Bonnie. And I am going to meet her in Madrid. I'm going to fly over, and then we're going to take a little road trip down to Alicante, and she's going to show me where she grew up because she's from Spain.
Oh.
And we booked a little Airbnb down in Torreviejo. And I said, when you go on Airbnb and you put in wheelchair accessible, it goes from like thousands of search results to like 1 or 2. And I'm like, and she was like, don't worry, you don't need a wheelchair accessible place. Just trust me. Everything in Torreviejo is accessible. There's just old people there. There's just so many old retired people in wheelchairs. It'll be fine. And I'm like, are you serious? And she's like, yeah, absolutely. I was like, okay, cool. So we booked this place. It was the quickest I've ever booked a holiday in my life. It was so crazy because we've been so busy. She's been helping me out so much with the move. I'll go into that later. She's an absolute angel. But I've never booked a holiday so quick. I was like, right, flight booked, hotel booked, Airbnb booked in about an hour. And I was like, wow, that's so little. Normally I faff around doing loads of research.
Yeah.
But anyway, afterwards I messaged the lady saying, oh, by the way, I know that, you don't advertise as a wheelchair accessible place, but I've seen your place. It looks fine. I know that there's a picture of an elevator. I just wanted to give you a heads up. Does the elevator work? Because, I'm going to be there in a week, and it would be really cool to give me a heads up if the elevator is out of service, for example. And she was like, no, don't worry. It's absolutely fine. You'll be fine. The elevator works and everything is wide and, accessible enough.
Yeah.
Because I gave her a heads up saying, I do use a wheelchair, but I'm very active and, and nimble, I can get into places. So they were like, yeah, no worries. That'll be sweet. And my girlfriend reassures me that all these places are accessible, even if they don't advertise that they are. So I guess we'll see. I said, if the elevator's not working, mate, you are piggybacking me up the stairs.
Yeah, I think mostly that's one of the things on like Airbnb or Vrbo. They never advertise that they're wheelchair accessible because they don't want to commit to that. Do you know what I mean? Because then they can get, I don't know if they get like in trouble, but you don't want somebody to book in a wheelchair and then it ends up not working for them. So I've had times like that too, where I've booked and they're like, oh, you'll be fine. It's great. We just don't advertise it as. But that's interesting. Now I want you should do a video on that whole town, because if it's very wheelchair accessible, then we should talk about that and be like, if you want to go someplace in Spain, this is the place, because there's lots of old people here. Because that's a good tip. I mean,
yeah,
if it's mostly wheelchair accessible everywhere there for seniors, then that's great for us.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, so when I was in a place called Burnham-on-Sea in the UK, and I remember thinking, oh, wouldn't it be great to be in a town that is like wheelchair accessible? Like, so Burnham-on-Sea is a fairly, what would you call it? Like a lot of the places are wheelchair accessible, and you see a lot of people in wheelchairs. Be careful what you wish for. Every person in a wheelchair was really old, and I was like, oh, god damn it. None of these wheelchair folk look like me. I just thought it'd be really cool to be like in a little wheelchair community, like with people that look like me. For example, we saw a lady in a wheelchair the other day, and I was like, she's got like a small little wheelchair, like, a proper wheelchair, like she looks like, you know what I mean? When you're like, oh, there's that's one of me. You're one of me.
Yeah,
You know, you
yeah,
can't see because
totally.
I'm in the car and I look just like a fucking weirdo.
Yeah, she was probably like, devotee. You're just like staring her down. She's like, oh, not
Yo,
again.
hey, you and me, baby. You were the same. As I'm driving in my car, she's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah. Yeah, no, it's so weird because like I very rarely see people in wheelchairs that look like mine.
Yeah.
You know, 90% of people are in big old wheelchairs. They're old, you know, they're being pushed,
Yeah.
and it's just not the same. So yeah, when I was in Burnham-on-Sea, I remember being like, oh, it's really nice that this is all accessible, but it's just really old, aging population, and I was like, oh, you know, not really what I was
Yeah.
after.
Yeah, not exactly, our age group demographic or whatever, but
Yeah, yeah.
still it still does help. So I don't know. Yeah, someday I'll make it to Europe. I dread the plane ride to Europe, which is why I've never gone. And like I have a friend that's, originally from Spain, and I have another one of my friends that's originally from Italy, and he goes all the time. And his parents even own like a resort, and he has like houses in like the Virgin Islands, where he often stops before going on to Italy. And he's always like, yeah, just come with me. I'm like, a 12 to like 17-hour plane ride or something like that. I'm like, I can't, no, I hate the 3-hour ones. I hate turbulence. If I'm flying over an ocean, my immediate thought is like, dead. We're going to die. If we go down, it's going to be a horrible drowning death. Like that's my brain. So the
Wow.
plane ride to Europe sounds awful, but yeah,
I
I
feel
don't
like
know.
if the plane crashes, it doesn't really matter where you're pretty screwed.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I hate turbulence in general, and I'm I'm not a bad flyer. Like I don't actually have like terrible anxiety where I'm like hyperventilating in the airplane or anything. Like once I'm up there, I'm like, there's nothing I could do about it. I
Mm.
just don't prefer to be in an airplane for extremely long amounts of time. The longest plane ride I've ever taken was to the Dominican Republic, and it was 8 or 9 hours, I think. And that was with Jamie when she was like 18 months old. That was the most terrible plane ride ever.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm like, oh, it sounds so terrible to be in an airplane for that long. But I really do want to go to Europe, especially that
Mm.
I literally looked up Morzine the other day because I was like, how big is this town? I'm like, how long would it take to get there? Because Joe's like, we should go. And I'm like, we should go. It would be so fun.
Yeah, come on over.
But like, the plane ride is just like, I'm like, oh,
Yeah, I was
terrible.
on a plane that got struck by lightning once. That was pretty scary.
What?
Yeah, the
Okay, you
guy
have to
next
talk
to me
about that.
screamed. The guy next to me screamed really loudly. He was so scared. I just, I just come from a meditation retreat, so I was like, was super zen. I was just like, it's okay, my brother. If God wills it, we will die.
Oh my God. What happened? Was it like
It
what
was
did it look like?
from Cambodia. Yeah, and so it was really weird. There's like these tropical thunderstorms that are going on. It was really wild.
Yeah.
So you would be in a really sunny place, but when the sun set, you could see the thunder and the lightning in the background. It was like almost every night there'd be like thunderstorms, but you never really were in them, or I wasn't where I was. And then the plane took off and we went through a thunderstorm. Yeah, it was a huge crack. I think the lightning struck the plane for sure. It was boom, everyone was like, ah! And I was just like, oh, it's okay. I've just had the time of my life. I'm completely zen. I'm completely at peace. If the plane goes down, I've got no regrets in life. It's all sweet. Poor fella next to me was not happy. He was just like, ugh. But yeah, it was what it was. It was really funny.
Well, I think that's like sort of my antidote to fear is gratitude. So when I'm like terrified and there's like lots of turbulence and stuff, all I do is like close my eyes and think of like all the amazing things that I'm so grateful for. I try to not fear that like death. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of the going to my death, like the plane falling out of the sky and being terrified kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm never as afraid when I'm by myself, but like, Jamie and Jacob are on the plane with me. I'm just like, please don't go down. Like if there's ever going to be a plane crash, let it be when I'm by myself.
So
But
I
yeah.
listened to a podcast the other day, and it was about a guy who was the transport minister, or I can't remember. It was really good. It was on Flagrant podcast, the one with Andrew
Oh.
Schultz. It was
Oh.
cool. He's just gone kind of viral. That his name's Pete someone, I can't remember, but he was like really quite very well eloquent, very speaking really good.
Yeah.
Anyway, he was talking about planes, about how like in America they had 15 years without any plane incidents, without any plane accidents whatsoever, and he said it's so much safer than driving.
It
By
is.
like people get so scared when they get on a plane, but they don't realize that getting in a car is like, I think it's like 400 times more dangerous or something. I can't
Oh,
remember. Maybe I just made that, but it was like wildly,
huge.
hugely more dangerous than
I
flying.
I did look it up because there was like all those stupid plane incidences where like the helicopter flew into the plane in the US and stuff. I looked it up right after that and it said this year it was just more televised. So there was actually less plane incidences this year than there was last year. They just like were bigger ones. And it was like 0.01% chance of dying in a plane crash and like almost 5% chance every time you get in a car of dying. And I was like,
Mm.
wow. It was like, it was like, I can't even remember when I did the math. It was like not hundreds. It was, I think it was like 1,000 times more dangerous to be in a car or something like that. And that's what Joe said. He's like, the most dangerous thing you do every day, Brittney, is get in your car and drive to work. Like, don't worry about the plane. And then right before we went on holidays, I was going to the bank and I ended up being hilariously in front of a woman who was like going through menopause, and right behind me, an old man who had been a pilot for I think it was like 38 years or something. And he was like now retired, but he was like 80 something. And I was telling him how afraid I am to fly. And he was like, don't be afraid to fly. He's like, it is so, so unbelievably safe. And it made me feel so good. I was like, oh, wow. Like, and he flew commercial airlines for years, like for Air Canada and WestJet and all that stuff. So yeah, now I'm just like, yeah, if you're going to go down in a plane, you're not going to remember much of the crash. So
Yeah. That's
yeah.
a good point. That's a good point. So anything else you want to tell me about your holiday?
Oh, what else did we do? I went to, okay, so there's a movie, I don't know if you've ever watched this movie, but it's called Angels in the Outfield, and it's like a movie about the Los Angeles Angels, which is a Major League Baseball game, and them winning the pennant, which is like before the like I don't know what it is, finals or whatever it is in Major League Baseball. But we happened to be staying in Anaheim where Angel Stadium is. So I wanted to go to this baseball game, which was awesome. It was so cool to be at a Major League Baseball game. So we did that. Nobody else wanted to go but me, but the kids actually liked it once we got there. It was very cool. And then the Angels won and they got a couple home runs. So it was very fun. And I got a hot dog. I got like a hot dog. And it was just like you see on TV, like the guys walking around like selling hot dogs and stuff in the crowd, but things like that doesn't happen here in Canada. Maybe in the places that we have like major league stadiums, but we only have 2 Major League Baseball teams. So maybe we only have one. I don't know. Anyway, it was cool.
Was it good? I heard baseball is boring.
It is slow. It's for sure slow, but the crowd and everything was like fun. It was just fun to be in a place that like that stadium was on a movie that I loved as a kid.
Oh, nice.
And I got to like walk through, the 2 big baseball caps and into the Angel Stadium and stuff. So it was very cool. So I liked that. We did, when we went to Universal Studios, we got to do a studio tour. That was really cool. Like seeing where Jaws was filmed and like the Tomorrowland, which is like a Tom Cruise film, like seeing the plane crash scene and all that. So that was really cool. I loved the studio tour. That was really fun. What else did we do? We went to Santa Monica Pier, which was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, so that was really cool. We drove around LA, but the thing that I was most disappointed with was LA. It's a dirty, gross city. Like it is not what you see on TV, like where it's like all this celebrity, everything is palm trees and beautiful. I'm like, it is smoggy. There is so much traffic that like we would drive somewhere not in rush hour and it would take 30 minutes and it would take 2 hours in rush hour. I'm like, who would want to be in 8 lanes of traffic like this for 2 hours on their drive home? I was like, never. So LA was super disappointing. not fun in any way. Huntington Beach is like another town that's around there. Beautiful.
Yeah, I've been
That
there
was
as well.
that. Oh, that's cool. Yeah. So that was a
Yeah, yeah,
beautiful little town. The beach was amazing. Santa Monica Pier, kind of a dirty, like Santa Monica's kind of a dirty looking city, but the pier was cool. And I
yeah, yeah,
saw there was like a really fun street performer there that was awesome. And he was like making fun of my wheelchair and everything. And I was like, it was really funny. So,
yeah. Nice.
yeah. So yeah, I think that's all we did. We did Disneyland, and then there's California Adventure Park, which is like attached to Disneyland. So we did that.
Yeah,
We did Universal Studios, the Angels game, and then we went to the beach a
I had a
couple of times.
fun time in California. I went to California before, and I went to Santa Monica. It was really nice. And the skate park. I was watching all the kids fly around the skate park, and it was just really cool. It felt like really American. I mean, I
Yeah.
know that sounds really silly, but like it felt really like I was in a movie, because as an English guy, when you're immersed in America, and my only experience of America is, through
Movie.
movies. I felt like I was in a movie. There was oh, this can I say that? No, can I say this? No, I won't bother. It's a bit weird. But yeah, there was just some moments where I was just completely immersed in culture, and I was like, whoa, I am like really, I feel almost got mugged. That was authentic.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
fun.
Oh, because I was talking like not like this guy again. This was a lifetime ago. I wasn't. This is before I was in a wheelchair, but I went shopping. So like and everything's so cheap with the exchange rate. So I got like brand new outfit on, brand new shoes, and then I had my old outfit in these like boutique
Yeah.
shopping bags, right? And then I smoked some weed with this guy who I met randomly on the street. I think he might have been homeless, but he was really sound. So then I got a bit high, and then I was on the bus and I was chatting shit to some lady, and I must have just looked like a right old target, like dressed in brand new clothes, shopping bags, giving it all that. And then I went to get into my hotel, like again, like a motel area, and
Yeah.
I noticed all of a sudden I was like, oh, like a horrible feeling, like I'm being followed. I'm definitely being followed. So I was like, fucking hell, I am all of a sudden. And then I just clocked. I was just like, oh, you're an idiot. You're such an idiot. You were giving it all that on the bus. You just painted a target on your back, right? So I was like, when I get to the next corner, I am going to run. I am going to sprint. So I just sprinted up the stairs into my room, like unlocked the room, slammed the door. And I was like, oh. And then I looked through the keyhole, and there was some guy looking through the fucking hole at me. I was like, oh, he's outside. And then I was like, oh my God. And then I looked, and then he was gone. And I was like, oh my God, where'd he go? And I was like, oh, fucking hell. I was so scared. I was like, oh my God. And he was definitely, like I don't know what he was going to
Yeah.
do, but like, you
Yeah.
get that feeling. And I was like, oh, you idiot. Like, try and, be careful. America's fun, but America's dangerous, like you got to,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. It was like, gives me chills just thinking about it.
I know. It is a little bit freaky. We actually got a hotel like close to Disneyland, and Jamie and I walked back and forth, and Joe and Jacob weren't staying with us because they were staying with the boxing club. So it was like, I don't know, like 11 o'clock at night, like when we were at Disneyland, we're walking home, and I'm just like, is this safe? I'm like, I'm not sure if this is safe, but we're walking. It's fine. Because they didn't want to pay for it's like $50 to park at Disneyland. It's so crazy. Plus the traffic. But yeah, like we went to check it out the first night without Joe and Jacob, and we were walking home maybe like 10 o'clock at night. And there were some homeless people on the side of the road, but I feel like maybe this is just like naivety, but like homeless people are really nice to me. So like they're always just like, hey, like, they're just super nice. So it was fine. And then I was more worried about Jamie. So like when we were walking, there was like one side where there was like bushes. So when we were like by the bushes, I'm like, you go on the roadside. And then when there was like a concrete wall, I was like, you go on the concrete wall side and I'll go on the roadside. So I was like trying to be like safe that way. And Jamie's really good. Like she will book it. Like I can wheel so much faster than most people would normally walk, but she just like jogs like to keep up with me. I'm like, we are getting home fast.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, I'm a little paranoid because I'm going to Phoenix, Arizona, which this was
Wow.
like totally unplanned. And then my cousin, who is also in a wheelchair. So if anybody's watched my channel before, my cousin Dale, who's been on my channel before, she has muscular dystrophy, but she's very wildly successful. Like she is a interior designer. She's got lots of business things going on. She actually has a podcast called Proof It's Possible with her sister. If you want to check it out. But anyway, she does these business retreats like for women business owners. and she had a cancellation, and it's non-refundable past a certain point. So this lady couldn't get a refund for her ticket. So she like called me and she was like, you should come. There's like a, this space opened up and you could just fly here and the rest is free. Like my food is free. The stay is free at this like beautiful house with a pool and everything. And I was just like, oh, it's so close from when I get back from my trip and everything. But I'm just like, it's a cool business retreat. The thing that I'm most nervous about is all the women being like more fashionable than me. Like they're all very like, they're going to this like trendy restaurant and they're like, you wear something cool so you can get brand photos for your social media. And I'm like, oh my God, just like wear your brand colors. I'm like, what brand colors? I'm terrible at that stuff.
No.
So I'm like more nervous about being with a bunch of people that are like cooler than I am in that way, but I'm still going anyway. But I'm going to be in Phoenix for like until 5:30 is when the Airbnb opens up and everybody else gets there. And I fly in at I think I get there at like 9 a.m. or something. So I'm going to be in Phoenix all by myself. And I wasn't nervous at all until I watched this video of a girl who was in Vancouver walking through Stanley Park that like almost got murdered by a guy it was just such a random like thing. So I'm like, I think I might stay in the airport until I take the Uber over there. I don't know.
Hit up Richard. Richard from Wheels to Walking lives in Phoenix, Arizona now.
Really?
Yeah, I'll send you his number. Maybe I don't know if you. Well, I mean, I know him. Like I want to say he's my friend because I feel like at one time we had a really, really close bond, but we've lost touch. Like I've messaged him quite a few times without reply. But yeah, I mean, you should hit him up, and I don't know if he's up for it, but like he would be a cool guy to hang out with and stuff.
Maybe
he's kind of a little bit more off the radar these days, but.
Yeah, I never actually really watched his channel that much, which is funny. Like I did watch a few of his things for sure. Like I've watched maybe 5 of his videos. So I know who he is. And I know that he like had a podcast and just sort of was like, this isn't for me kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Man, he's a hero for me. Like he is one of the main catalysts for me for getting out of my funk. And like we had a real close bond. I've watched every single one of his videos. Probably more than once. I just love it. Some of them I've watched many, many, many times. I felt like some of the podcasts as well. Like I felt like he was actually talking directly to me. In fact, sometimes he actually was. He would shout me out. I was like one of the biggest fans of the podcast, one of the biggest fans of the channel. I was on his Patreon, and I just got huge respect for the guy. Really helped me out. His channel started like just as my injury started. I didn't discover it straight away, but it was really synchronic. So it was great. I love Richard. I mean, I definitely feel like if I was going to Phoenix, I would definitely try and hit him up and be like, "Hey, bro, I'm in town." But I guess you don't really know him, so it'd be a bit weird.
Yeah, and I don't think he knows who I am either. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe he does know who I am. I have no idea. But yeah, I don't know. I'll be fine. I don't even know why I'm worried about it. I'm like usually just wheeling around oblivious. I would never know if I was being mugged or. If somebody wanted to attack me, they would definitely be able to like have the advantage because I'm so oblivious. Hopefully nobody's watching that wants to attack me and now knows that I have the advantage. Rick says, are you worried about how some Americans might receive Canadians right now? Did not have that issue whatsoever when I was in the States. People are so nice. Everybody's always talking about how Americans are rude and stuff like that. I've never experienced that. I've been to America a lot. And I've never, other than one lady when I was at like a Walmart and I was taking a while to go through the checkout. And she was like, we've got things to do. And I was like, geez, I'm sorry. I was like so mad. I was like, dude. And I didn't even know what to do. So I was getting like a price check on a little scooter that I was going to buy for Jamie. And then I just like started crying and like left. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm taking up your time. And I left and the lady was like, thank you. I was like, oh my God. That was the only rude American I've ever experienced in my life. But I've had like plenty of rude Canadians, the entire time. And occasionally people will be like, you are very Canadian. Because I don't think Canadians have accents. I don't see.
They're very similar. It's kind of hard to tell the difference. I think it's like Jordan Peterson's got a very Canadian accent. And sometimes you say a little things sometimes that like remind me of him because it's like very Canadian. But yeah, for me as an English guy, the American and Canadian, very, very similar. Very hard to tell the difference. But there are some things that are like, oh yeah, you're a Canadian.
Yeah, like, so there was a couple times when we were waiting for, like, this little bus thing that I had to take, to go to a different area of, Universal Studios, that the lady was like, "You're very Canadian." But and most people were just so polite and so apologetic. So like it felt very much like a, but I don't know whether they were Americans. So I have no idea. Cause when I was at Santa Monica Pier, the street performer, he lined a bunch of people up to do this trick. And there was not one American in the line. It was like Germany, Australia, Brazil, Canada. There was not one American there. So I have no idea whether any of the people I encountered were actually American.
Yeah, and also it's kind of weird saying like, "How are Americans?" Because you have to judge everyone. It's like
Yeah,
there's English people.
exactly.
It's such a generalization. There's
Yeah.
dickheads in every country.
Exactly. Yeah, no,
So
I
yeah,
didn't find that anybody was, like, overly rude, especially just what's going on with Canada and the US in terms of, like, the trade wars and the tariffs and stuff like that. But mostly everybody's just in the same boat, you know what I mean? We're all paying more for shit we don't wish we were paying more for, and so, yeah, I don't think anybody's really mad at everyday Americans or Canadians over what our governments are doing in their stupid little sandbox fights, so
tell me more about this street performer. What sort of tricks was he doing?
Mostly he was a comedian. So he would like lead up to a trick and then never really do it. But he was really funny because he brought people in from the crowd. Like everybody was just sort of like standing around. He's would almost make people watch. And then he was like just making fun of like black people, Asian people, white people, and all the like stereotypical things. And then he was getting, Asians clap, white people clap, black people clap. And then he was making fun of like who clapped the loudest. And then he was like coming around and pulling people closer, and he came up to me and he was like, "Oh, we got the handicap section over here." And then he like basically he was like he took his shirt off and stuff because he was like a very fit, like acrobatic kind of guy. And then he was like going up to some women and kind of making fun of them. And then he came up to me and he was like literally like twerking in my face, and I was like, "Oh my god." And he's like, "This lady's not even scared." It was like so funny. So yeah, he just was like making fun of me and being funny. And then he ended up doing a couple of flips. He did a flip over like three people, like he did a back flip over three guys. He did like a front flip off a bench. But mostly he was just a comedian, and it was almost like leading up to tricks that he never did, but just being funny the whole time. And then I don't know whether he was like legit actually rich, because he was like at the end, he was like saying that his dad bought St. Jude's Hospital or something. And he was like, look it up. So I did look it up, and I'm like, I think that's like legit, but why would a guy who is like, the son of a very rich individual, why would he be like doing street performing?
Why
You know,
not? Because he's got financial freedom, baby. He can do what he wants. I want to be a street performer, Dad, but you're going to disappoint me. Well, you shouldn't have, put a silver spoon in my mouth.
yeah, true. I don't know. So I was like because he had lots of followers on Instagram. Like I think it was like 100,000 followers on Instagram. But he was a very funny guy. If you like being made fun of, some people I'm
Hmm.
sure wouldn't like that, but I thought it was hilarious. So
Did
it
he do
was
any
fun.
tricks?
Not too many. Like I said, he did a couple of flips, but that was it. And Jamie was like, he didn't even do what he said he was gonna do. And I was like, because that's his bit, is like, just engaging the crowd and then taking their money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nice. That sounds cool. Do you want to see on the subject of tricks? Do you want to see a trick? I know it's not the end of
Yeah.
the podcast yet.
Yes, I do. And I also want you to talk about moving, because I didn't get to see the
Yeah, hold
last
on.
thing
Let
still.
me. So I've got three playing cards here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're all jokers. You can see. Oh, sorry, I didn't. Hold on. Can you see them? So
Yeah, I
look,
can
what I'm
see
going
them
to do
now.
is I'm going to get the blue card. I'm going to put it. You can see that it's underneath, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
look, if I give it a little wave, look like this. It's actually sandwiched between them.
What?
Yeah, and then look, all I need to do is give it a little wave like that, and it's actually gone back to the bottom of the pile.
My brain is like trying to figure out how visually that makes sense for you to
You see?
trick.
And then
Yeah.
look, all I need to do is give it a little wave, a little. and
And it's now in the middle
sandwiches
again.
in between the cards. It's pretty crazy, right?
That's crazy.
And I can take it out the middle and let you can see the cards.
Yeah.
Wild.
That was a good one. I'm like trying to figure out if visually, because you know how sometimes like something can look like it's in the background or the foreground based on like where it is. I'm trying to figure out if that's like how the trick is done, but I don't want to. I'm just gonna let it be. Very
Yeah.
cool. I love that you have like there's some tricks that are like about the cards, and then some like that's just with cards, but it's not necessarily the cards. Do you know what I
Mm.
mean? And you have some with like the necklace and all that. So you're diversifying your magic skills. But
Yeah.
I definitely think that like not that busking is like, you know, doing street performing is fun and I think stressful because if nobody's watching you. So I definitely think doing like events and stuff would still be your thing, but I definitely think that you would be as entertaining as that guy that I saw on the street. Like he was very entertaining, and I think you have
Thank you.
that gift of engaging with a crowd.
Yeah. Nice. Well, that was like of all the reactions, that was like the least. You're like, oh yeah, I guess that's impressive.
I told you I'm tired. It was impressive. Most of the time I'm like, oh my god. But yeah, I'm like my brain hurts. I've had like a headache for the past 2 days too, which I hate taking like Tylenol for or anything. So I'm trying to like not do that. But yeah, it's just annoying having a headache constantly in the background. But
Yeah.
next time I promise I'll have a better reaction. Oh, some people are asking if you've ever tried poutine, Canadian poutine.
Oh, I thought that was a typo. I thought he was like, have you ever tried a routine? You know, like a full
No.
magic routine.
Do you know what poutine
Poutine.
is? Do you know what poutine
Uh,
is?
I think is it chips, gravy, and cheese?
Yes, it's like mozzarella cheese curds with gravy on French fries.
Yeah. No, I think I might have not like proper Canadian style, but I have not tried it. I mean, I've tried. Yeah, I've tried it, but like not tried it. You know, not like
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Sounds a bit
definitely some
unhealthy.
it's not healthy at all. But Canadians love it, and everybody has poutine everywhere here. McDonald's has poutine. Every restaurant has poutine here. It's actually poutine. I don't know what it
Oh,
means in French, but it's a French word. I'm gonna look it up because I don't know what poutine actually means. Like, what's the translation?
so I guess the other news that we were
Uh-huh.
going to talk about was my new place, which I'm
Yeah,
in. You saw it on the podcast last week with Brian, and
I did.
I put some pictures up on Patreon. A little sneak peek for the Patreons. Patreon.com/Fredo the Wheelchair Guy. Link in the description. If you wanted these behind the scenes updates, if you care,
Yes,
if you don't, then that's absolutely
they
fine.
are,
Free to
and
join up.
the pictures were awesome. So if you didn't see his Patreon post, he put pictures of it. And for some reason in my mind, when you said you were gonna live in an apartment, like here apartments are like high, not always high rise apartments, but like I just didn't expect like this little place in the country. It looks like it's in the country.
Yeah, I mean it's still in Morzine. Morzine's a mountainous town. There's like the cliffs of Prodan out the window.
Yeah.
It's really nice. I'm gonna do a full video with a full video tour. I just need it to
Yeah.
look respectable and tidy. I've tidied it up loads for the podcast, but yeah, I still need to. There's just lots of stuff to do. Like I've still got to get rid of I don't know logistics. I've got a deep cleaner
Yeah.
coming in tomorrow to deep clean the old place, and then the handover happens, and then I logistically move out, and then yeah, hopefully I get my deposit back because I haven't broken anything, and then now we're here, which is great,
Yeah.
and I love living here. I know I mentioned it on the last podcast, but I've really made peace with my new place, redefining what home means. Like home is
Mhm.
be like more of a feeling than a place. And just to touch on what I spoke about last week, I know you were like a voyeur, like watching me and Brian from the cupboard last week. You're like,
I had to Google what that was. I was like, what's a voyeur? I didn't know what that was. I had to Google it.
it's so fun. It's like, okay, Brittney and I will do a podcast, and then Brian and Brittney will do a podcast, and then Fred, you can do a podcast with Brian, and I'll just peek through the curtain.
That's funny. I thought you guys did a good job.
Yeah, it was a great podcast. I enjoyed it a lot. It was nice that you were watching and commenting. It was really cool. Obvious joke, but yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, I just wanted to recap that. Yeah, I really love living here. I love living with Chris. It's really wonderful. I'm having such a wonderful time settling in, and yeah, it's great. Although I got struck yesterday with a huge procrastination, and it's, for example, I went on the carnivore diet for 3 weeks, very strict, just
Yeah.
carnivore diet. I lost weight. I was very disciplined eating. I was like moving, and I was very disciplined, like got to get stuff done, and then I just went down. I spent 5 whole days, I think it might have even been 6 days without any YouTube, and then all of a sudden, junk food for the brain, junk food for the soul. I was just eating Kit Kats, watching YouTube, stayed in bed, and I was just like, oh my God, I don't know what was wrong with me. I had a real backwards day yesterday. It was not healthy one bit. And I just don't know why that happens. Even though I'm happy here, all of this cheap dopamine, like this cheap thrills, I just consumed it. And I was like, oh, well, seeing as I've had 1 Kit Kat, I may as well have 4 more. And then, it's now I've, watched a bit of YouTube. I may as well write off the whole day. I scroll the reels, and I was just like, I don't know what happened, man, but I was just I was meant to be going to the pub. There was like a pub that was like closing down. So it was like the last, they had like 5 different bands playing. And I was like, I just couldn't get out the house. I was just really in this state of like paralysis, but like, just almost like, I don't know. I just couldn't put like a compulsive phone use and shit food. And I was like, what is going on with me? I started to chat to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT was like, don't worry, this is normal. It's absolutely fine. I was like, it's not normal. I need to hold myself to a higher standard. This is outrageous. Like, I want to be better, so yeah, I don't know. Do you ever get that? I don't know if it's procrastination or whatever, but it was a real sorry state of affairs yesterday.
I get like that if I am on my phone in the morning. Like if I allow myself to start using my phone, it is downhill from there. I will tell you that I've had a entire week of total junk food. Like I don't know if you can see you can never tell like that my face is like so bad on camera. It's so itchy. I'm like broken out crazy. My rosacea is like just terrible. Because I've been eating like a chocolate. Like I went to the friggin' convenience store right by our hotel, and I'm like, I just need a Heath bar and like a million chocolate bars and Bugles, which are like these stupid corn chip things that are delicious. And so I got like so much crap, and then like it's just been total shit. I'm gonna eat apple pie at the restaurant. I'm gonna eat like all this crap, and it's so hard to get out of that funk. But I'm like so done with it because I'm just like, I think the sign, like a sign of like, personal growth, or that just that we care, is that we feel guilty when we do it. But it's like, I don't know. I get it a lot though. Like I have watched my phone more in the last week just because I've been allowing myself, and I keep thinking I'm going to read my book, I'm going to do all these things, and I sit on Facebook or like TikTok for hours, and I'm like, I could have read an entire book on this plane, but I didn't. I just like wasted time doing stupid shit, and it's dumb.
I know, and I don't know where it comes from, because again, I went like I think it was 5 or 6 days, no YouTube whatsoever, and I was so proud of myself. And then I started watching YouTube, and I was like, oh, this is boring. Like, it's when you get into the habit of watching it every day, you're like, oh, this is great. I'm like, and then I was just, I don't know, I'm just not into it. So I was listening to an audiobook, listened to a great audiobook. I will give a shout out to that in a minute if you want. But yeah, I just started, and I don't know, I just went down this really unhealthy place, unhealthy rabbit hole, and I just couldn't get out the house. I was like, I've got to get out the house. I don't know what I'm doing here. Like, I was meant to be doing stuff, but I just wasn't. I was getting distracted. I saw this reel on Facebook, and I've started using Facebook loads because I was putting stuff on Marketplace, trying to get rid of it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, I've got to check, Marketplace. And then I don't know, because I wasn't using YouTube, I was on Facebook. Anyway, I saw this funny reel, and this guy was like, oh, I'm going to go mow the lawn. And he's like, oh, the window needs cleaning. Oh, I'm going to pet the cat. Oh, and I was just like, that's what I do.
Yeah.
Like I go to do stuff, and I'm like, obviously there's loads of things to do, but there's really high priority stuff. And then there's low priority stuff. For example, getting stuff tidy would be really, like moving this chest of drawers would be really handy. But instead, I'm in the drawer looking at all the tiny things. I'm like, oh, what can I, what do I need in this drawer? What can I get rid of this drawer? And I'm like, this is a really poor use of time. You need to move the actual chest of drawers before you start, faffing around in the drawer. Like, there are bigger fish to fry. There are important tasks. You're prioritizing low priority tasks in this compulsive procrastination, which I cannot seem to. It's so frustrating. It's like there's some master marionette, who's just like pulling the puppet strings, just like, ha, do this little task, do this meaningless task, and I'm not getting anything done, or I'm getting things done, but at like a snail's pace. And I'm like, why can't I just focus on the big stuff? I don't know if this resonates with anyone else, but it's driving me nuts, man. It's driving me fucking mental.
I had the exact same thing yesterday. I went to Costco and bought a bunch of groceries because we've been gone for, like, Joe and Jacob were gone for 10 days. We were gone for 7. So I got all this groceries, but then I had to, like, organize the pantry and stuff like that. And what should have taken me maybe 30 minutes took me like 2.5 hours because I kept watching my phone. So I would go to the bathroom, I would like watch a reel, and then I would get sucked into that. And then I would like go back and clean like pantry for 2.5 seconds. And Joe's like, are you still cleaning the pantry? Like, what are you doing in there? And I'm like, I'm just being a, I don't know, like squirrel. Everything is taking my attention, and it was awful. And then I think I finally got I got back from Costco at 4-ish. And I think I finally finished cleaning the pantry at like 7:30. So it took me even longer. Like, it was so ridiculous how long it took me to put the food away. In all fairness, I was like taking the granola bars out of the boxes and putting them in like the thing that I put them in and all that stuff. So I was doing stuff like that, but it shouldn't have taken me that long, maybe an hour at most, at the absolute most. But yeah, my phone is it's such an annoying distraction. And I want to be that person that uses it just to create stuff. Like, I want to be the person that can go on there and I'm only going to create content or put good things out in the world. But then I end up being a consumer, and it feels so nasty to me to be a consumer of anything gross. Like, if I'm eating chocolate or a bunch of chips or consuming shitty like things for my brain, it feels so crappy to be a consumer. And maybe that's only just because I know what it feels like to be a creator. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like it's so much more rewarding to be a creator. But then I also have this thing that I want people to consume my content. So am I just like perpetually adding to this like shitty thing? Or is there really genuinely good content to consume? I don't know. Because there are things, like you said, like that audiobook that you were listening to, and I picked one on the way home on the flight called Who Not How, which is like my problem entirely in business and life. I always am like so focused on the how am I going to do everything instead of like aligning myself with people who will do it with me. So I'm like trying to be more mindful of that. But it's a great audiobook. So I don't think that consuming things is inherently bad. I just think that when it's like fluff shit, like somebody filling a pool with Jello and jumping into it for no reason other than to get views, that makes me feel terrible. What's the audiobook though, before I forget, that you were listening to?
I'm glad you asked. It was brilliant. It was brilliant. So ChatGPT suggested it, actually. Because I've been chatting to ChatGPT a lot, and
you have a bromance seriously with ChatGPT. You should make it a female voice so that it's not so weird.
I chat to it, and it like I read the responses, but yeah, it's been really helpful. It was so helpful, insanely helpful, too helpful probably. But anyway, getting onto the book. Because I know, before I move on to the book, sometimes I'm having a hard time, and I'll just say to ChatGPT, I'm just like, I'm stuck in the house. I don't know what I'm doing. I've been back and forth. Like, I've been getting into bad habits. I don't even know where to start. Like, there's a bloody gig down the road, which I was supposed to go to. I don't want to leave the house. And it's like free therapy. It is very, very good for like free therapy. Last night, it encouraged me to go out for a roll. I was like, okay, I'm just going to get out. And I got out, and I was like, oh God, I left the house. That was such an achievement for me yesterday. And then I got in the shower eventually. And then, it was wild. So anyway, ChatGPT is good. But it also recommended this book. It was called Born a Crime by Trevor Noah. Are you familiar with Trevor Noah?
No.
He does The Daily Show. He's like a comedian. He's like mixed race fella. Anyway, South African. Really good. Oh
I
my
think I
goodness.
do know who you're talking about now. Yeah, I think I do know who you're talking about.
Beautifully performed. It's about him growing up in South Africa during the apartheid and then the post-apartheid. So when he was born, it was illegal for a black man and a white woman, or vice versa, to get together. So when he was born, it was a crime for him to be born because he wasn't supposed to exist. And then he calls himself colored because in the like nowadays that would be like a derogatory term, but back in the day that's what they were called. So you had black people, white people, and then colored were like the mixed race people. Anyway, it was like his story of being too black to be white and too white to be black, and then being in this like really, it was just fascinating, really, really fascinating. Like stuff like, I mean, I know that he's from South Africa, but it just exposed like how little I know about South Africa.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic story. He speaks like so many different languages and like African dialects, which he performs in the audiobook, tells wonderful stories. Really, really fantastic. And I was at the end of it, I was blown away. It had me in tears. It was so sad.
Aww.
Basically, the entire book is a tribute to his mother. And there's a lot of foreshadowing at the beginning because he says that his mum gets shot in the head, and you're like, fucking hell, okay, that's wild. And then at the end, there's like a bit of a twist, and it's really beautiful. I was crying, and it's just such a beautiful ode to his mother. And yeah, it's brilliant. I would highly recommend it. If you've got Spotify Premium, you can listen to it for free. It's on there for free, or you can get it on Audible. But yeah, it was a phenomenal book. Really highly recommend it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I read a book similar to that from a lady that was indigenous or native, whatever their term is, wherever you live. Here it changes all the time, but she was like, she wasn't, native enough to belong to that culture, and she wasn't white enough to belong to ours. And I think that is like, it's very similar to how it feels when you're first paralyzed. Like you're not paralyzed enough to be, or you don't feel like you belong in the disability community. You don't feel like you belong in the able-bodied community. But it is very interesting that the thing with race and which culture or race that you identify with when you are mixed, because inevitably whatever your skin color looks like is the one that you feel like you have to fit into the most, but you're equally as much a part of the other race and culture. Yeah, and I think it's just that's why I think it's so what's the word I'm looking for? Counterproductive to actually see race in any way, because I'm just like, you should see it as a part of who you are, just like disability is a part of who I am, but it should never be something you identify with necessarily, because I think that it creates division more than it creates like coming together. But yeah, those books I love those books. I actually have a hard time listening sometimes to those experiences because it's so unnatural to me, or like I don't know how to relate to them because I am one race and I've always known which, race I identify with. But yeah, it's sad to me when I hear the struggles that people go through, not feeling like they ever truly belong somewhere. And that's sad.
It was good though. I think you'd really enjoy it. It was very, very funny.
Yeah,
really, really cool.
I'll go and download it because I love listening to audiobooks when I drive.
Yeah, I think you'd very much enjoy it. It's a great book. So 100%. You got anything else to say before we hit off?
I don't think so. I just wanted to go back and see if there was any comments that had any questions or anything. Yeah, most people just talking to each other. Yeah, I don't think so. James says Knott's Berry Farm. That was another one that we were going to go to when we couldn't go to Disneyland the last day, but the rides were much bigger rides. And Jacob probably would have gone on the really big rides, but Jamie is, not like a upside down loop-de-loop kind of roller coaster, not at that level yet. So we just decided that the rides were probably a little bit too big It's definitely a great amusement park if you're looking for really big rides, less of the experience rides like Disneyland. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say. I'll try and vlog when I go to Arizona, but it's really hard when you're by yourself. It's really hard to vlog when you're by yourself, especially like in an airport and stuff like that. So I don't know if I'll be able to, but I'll try my best to take at least some B-roll of the things that I'm doing and the women I'm with and all of that stuff. It might be easier to film when I'm with a bunch of women who are, into content creation. So
why don't you just do it on your phone? Like, hotel room stuff. Like, yeah.
I did.
Just
Yeah, I
document
did.
it.
I only took my phone to Disneyland. It was so much easier. I got a microphone for it, which worked really well, except that the mic connection had to be plugged in, and I couldn't plug it in with my case on, and I didn't want to take my case off when I was wheeling around. So I only ever used the microphone once. But yeah, it was way easier to just do it on my phone, even if the audio isn't as good as it would normally be with my actual camera and my microphone with that. But yeah.
I don't think it matters. You can get AI to clean up the audio if it's bad, but I sometimes just feel like the last 2 videos I just filmed on my phone and it was fine.
Yeah. I filmed the hotel review on my phone and the audio was fine. So yeah, I'm gonna go edit some videos.
Rick says, I have to catch you guys from the beginning. How do I do that? Patreon.com/Fredo the Wheelchair Guy. Patreon.com/Empowered Para. That is how you catch us from the beginning, buddy, because like an hour ago, or no, sorry, 2 hours ago, here we go. It's in the other tab. Going live in 1 hour. Just a quick reminder, Wheel Talk's going live today instead of our usual Monday time. Hope to see you there. It's free to join up. I hate saying it because it feels like a broken record and some shameless plug, but it's free. Sign up and you'll get notified. There you go.
Yeah, I did. I notified people 10 minutes before. Not as good as the 1 hour before, but
aha, he says, I will see you over there, Rick. If you're not there, I'll find you.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just been at weird times the last 2 times. So normally it is Monday at 6 p.m. Fred's time and 10 a.m. my time. And it was a weird time last week because Fred was joined by oh my God, why is his name? My name is like Brian Kinney from Paralyzed Living, because I was in California, and today we're doing it a different day entirely because, or no, you guys did it a different day entirely too. You guys did it on Tuesday instead of Monday. We're doing it Sunday instead of Monday because I'm going to be gone on a flight tomorrow. So normally it's Monday at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. I don't know what your time zone is, Fred. What's your time zone?
GMT +2.
GMT +2, whatever that is. But anyway, yes.
Anyway, join the Patreon and you will know. Shout out to the Patreons in the chat. You know who you are. Ryan, Jim, all the other people. You know who you are. All right. That's it, everybody. Peace out. See you next week. See you on the Patreon.
Bye. See you guys.
Bye.